Okay, this is a video on how to install Dafny, the Dafny extension into Visual Studio, and how to start verifying programs with Dafny. So we're going to start at Codeplex. This is the Codeplex website for Dafny. Dafny is actually spread out over Codeplex and GitHub, and there's some useful pages also at Microsoft Research and on Rustin Lino's homepage. But we're going to start on home at Codeplex. We're going to download Dafny to start with. So this is the most recent version, and we will download it for Windows because that's the one that lets us use Visual Studio. So I'll save that to my downloads folder. Okay, Dafny is now downloaded, and here it is over in my downloads folder. It's a zip file. The first thing I'm going to do is to extract it. So that just expands the zip file and gives us a folder. So here's the folder. Now it doesn't really matter where you keep this folder, but it's probably not a good idea to keep it in your downloads folder. So I'm going to move it over to program files on the C drive, which I can do if I'm an administrator. And at this point we can go into the Dafny folder there, and we're going to install the extension into Visual Studio. We do this by executing a file called daphnylanguageservices.vsx. It will offer to install into any Visual Studio installations that is not already in, so it offers to install into my Visual Studio Community 2015. So I'll install it in there. Dafny also works on Visual Studio 2012 as long as it's not Express, and Visual Studio 2013. At this point we've installed it, so let's go over to Visual Studio. We'll start up Visual Studio and take a look. So the first thing, if we go to Tools and Extensions and Updates, we can just check that the language mode is in fact there, and we'll create a new project. I'm going to create a C# console application because that's the closest thing we have to a Dafny application. The Dafny extension doesn't really give you any new project types as far as I can tell. So that gives us a C# file to begin with, but I'm not interested in that right now. What I want to do is I want to create a new Dafny file. Now, this is not probably the best way to do it, but I want to show you this in case you run into the same problem that I'm about to run into. So I'm going to create a new file. Now, I would like to create a new Dafny file, but I don't have a template for Dafny files. I haven't created one yet myself, although I probably will later. So I'll create a new text file, and but it has an extension of txt. We need to have an extension of dfy, and also that file is going to be in the wrong spot. So the first thing I'll do is to save the file and give it a new place and a new name. Now we're in console application 2, so we'll go down there, and that's where I want to put my text file. We need to display all files. You can see the C# file there. If we don't do that, then the file extension will not be correct when we do the save. So I'll give the Dafny file a name. It has to end with dfy, and there we go. Now, there seems to be a bug with the extension, and the next thing I'm going to do is probably going to crash the extension. When I first edit this file, the extension will crash, and that's why it's probably best to create Dafny files from outside of the project and not do it this way. But I wanted to show you this exception because it's a bit scary when it happens, but it's not the end of the world. It's very easy to clear. We just have to shut down Visual Studio and start it up again. So we will do that. Save everything, of course. start up Visual Studio again. And we'll reopen that project. That was console application 2. Reopen the solution, and here's our file, and you can see that the Dafny extension is now working because we have a red squiggle here that indicates that there's a syntax error in my Dafny program. So I'll write finish up writing a method, and so I'll write a method that takes no arguments and returns one result called a of type int. We'll write a contract for that says that a's value should be 42, and we'll now write an implementation. I'll put in a bug deliberately here. Now, as soon as I finish this method, I have a syntax error here because I said return instead of return. So now, as soon as I finish the method, what will happen is the method will parse, and as soon as the method can parse, it gets sent to the verifier. You know it's been sent to the verifier because there's going to be a purple bar that appears over here very briefly. And it's purple, the verifier is working, and the verifier is finished working now, and we can see that there's an error identified. It says a post condition might not hold on this return path. What return path? Well, if I click on it, it shows me the path. Down here in the error list, I have my error. Over here in the Boogie Verification Debugger, if I select, now it's already selected, but if I select this point here in the program, then I can look at the state in that program. Sometimes these states are symbolic, and sometimes it gives you actual values. In this case, it gave me an actual value. It says, well, at this point, A could have a value of 41, and that's going to violate this post condition. So we're now verifying our code, and of course, if I fix the bug, you'll see a purple bar appear over here very briefly saying that it's been verified. So it's orange and then purple, and that means it's been verified, and at this point my error has disappeared. So we have at this point verified a Dafny method. Well, just a couple of things to finish things off. If we go over to our solution here, you can see that the C# file is there, but not the Dafny file. So what I'm going to do is add the Dafny file to the solution, so it appears over here, which will be convenient. We can do that easily by going to the project, and we want to add an existing item. We'll go down to find that file, and we will add that. So here it is over here. And now another thing I wanted to point out is that when we're editing Dafny files, we get a little Dafny menu here. Among the things we can do is we can compile Dafny to C#. So I'll do that. And now nothing's shown up over here, which is kind of annoying. So we need to add that C# file also to the project. So we'll come over to project and again add existing item, go down, and there is the C# file is right there. So we'll add that to the project as well, and there it is. So at this point we've installed the Dafny extension into Visual Studio, we've created a Dafny program, and we've verified that it is correct. And that's all for this video.